Hey guys, how's it going? It's Kire here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down exactly on how to figure out who you should 60 next. Why I want to do this is by far the most popular question when it comes to Twitch, YouTube, anyone on Discord. Whenever I watch other people's Twitch, they always ask this question. This is by far the most popular question. Very subjective, determined by who you've pulled, where you're at in the game, what you're trying to progress. Figured out, give you some tools that you can apply to wherever you're at in the game, whichever characters you've pulled in the game, and use that a point that you can try to apply to your account. And even though I'm making this, it doesn't mean I'm annoyed by these questions. More than happy to answer them. Feel free to hit me up on Discord, hit me up on Twitch. I know this is, especially in the beginning of the game, this is a really stressful, almost borderline stressful decision on trying to figure out which one to 60 because of how much resources, how much time it takes, especially in the beginning when you don't have a good farmer, don't have good gear yet. So I get it, and more than happy to answer those questions to hopefully make it a little easier for you. And you can check that out at the bottom there if you want to hit me up when I go live, or if you just want to hit me up on Discord. And with that, let's get into it. So a farmer is absolutely going to be the most important thing to have. This is the first thing that you should be shooting for. Characters like this are 99% of the time going to be your first starting character that you pick when you start the game. Think Kale, think Aethel. All of them are good. Kale is definitely the one. Don't feel bad if you, I guess what I'm trying to say is don't feel bad if you don't have Kale, even though pretty much universally he is the best rare in the game that you can pick out of your 4 choices. So hopefully you have Kale. If not, Aethel's fine, Gaelic's fine, or Elena's fine. So now we have our farmer. We have our 60. When I was first starting, it was everyone was talking about which get your farmer, get him to 60, but then what next? What's next is you want more 60s. And specifically you want 60s that excel in Dragon 20 and Clan Boss. So you're going to want characters that you want to check all the boxes. So hopefully you have Kale as your farmer, and also going to be your poisoner for Clan Boss slash Dragon. And if you don't know what characters are good in those, if you don't know what characters are good in Dragon 20 or in Clan Boss, there's a ton of resources out there for you to check out. I have a video of it here. I'll link up here if you want to check out how to build a Clan Boss team, especially when you're first starting out. Tons of videos on it. But you need to know which characters are good in that, which roles you want to fulfill. To a quick rundown, you're going to want a poisoner. You're going to want an attack down character, preferably on an auto attack. You're going to want a defense down. You're going to want a defense up. Those kind of characters are going to be good in Clan Boss, and then they're also going to be good in Dragon. It's really cool that they have some synergy there where the same techniques you're going to take for Clan Boss are also going to translate really well over to Dragon 20. So feel free to, as long as you know what characters they are and what characters are excel in those dungeons, taking those up to 60 is going to be great because they're going to serve double duty for you. Get them to 60 and then also farm Minotaur, because that's going to, you really want to have those masteries to be able to handle this a lot better. And then just a quick tip, when it comes to your farmer, you can buy masteries for 800 gems. I would actually think that if you have the gems for it, I would recommend spending those 800 gems on your first farmer. I think it's pretty efficient. When it comes to Minotaur, it's nice to do that because before you have to spread your masteries throughout all 5 characters, whereas with your farm, I would say it's probably more efficient to let me back up and say normally it's not as efficient to spend those 800 gems. I believe it wastes about 200 gems if you were to just farm it normally, assuming you can do Minotaur 15, but you have to spread all that across 5 characters, especially early, because Minotaur is probably pretty tough for you. So if you get to focus it on one character, preferably your farmer, that's going to help you progress in Minotaur for your other characters sooner, or it's going to help you farm faster, which is going to be great. So I would recommend spending those 800 gems on your farmer. And then if you want to be as efficient as possible, don't buy the 800 gems anymore for the masteries. I would just farm it from here on out. Okay, so we got our farmer. We got our Dragon 20 / Clan Boss team. That's the direction we're going to take for our next characters. So that would mean we have 5 characters up to 60, preferably 5 characters masteried. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to focus on dungeon specific characters. And what I mean by that is characters like Coldheart, characters like Royal Guard, AoE HP burn characters that are going to be really good for Spider. And you're going to try to look at your account and see if you have characters like that. There's characters I could think of, Ultimate Gaelic, if you were present for the Amazon Prime sponsorship deal that they had going on, where you could get Ultimate Gala keys. Fantastic for Spider, especially if you're, I guess, relatively free to play, if that counts as free to play. Cold Heart would probably be the best because she excels in Fire Knight 20 and then also Spider 20. So you're going to want that. Reason why I didn't say to get these characters like Royal Garden and Cold Heart up, usually, especially in the beginning, from my experience, that the gear is just not good enough for them to hit hard enough, and your gear is probably not fast enough to, unless you have a reser early, like you pulled a reser early, it's going to be really tough to keep them alive. They're usually more of a hindrance, and then they become amazing later as you progress through Dragon 20, get some good gear for them where they really start to hit hard. Your other characters can make sure they stay alive better. So I usually recommend delaying them a little bit, but they're going to be essential characters for your account eventually. And this would be the time where you'd want to get them because you already got Dragon 20 on farm. You're already doing well in clan boss. Hopefully you have a good clan, and then you're eventually going to slowly progress up through, brutal. And like, you're probably going to be in like the normal to brutal, or going to be the hard to brutal range. And then, testing it, getting better gear. You're going to be, each phase is going to be a while. These phases are going to be a while. So this is going to be over the course of months, but at least you have a direction, and it makes it I think with the direction, it makes it easier to be more efficient. Okay. So dungeon specific characters help you out Fire Knight 20, working towards Fire Knight 20, working towards getting up in Spider. That's going to be your goals from now, is going to be dungeon specific characters. And this would be the time. Okay. So now that we got dungeon specific characters, we're going to be improving our other ones besides just Dragon 20 and looking to branch out and trying to accomplish Spider 20 and Fire Knight 20, working towards that. We're going to want to work on arena specific characters. And these are going to be characters that don't really help you out with dungeons too much, but can potentially significantly improve your arena team. Up until this point, obviously arena is still important, but for most people, you're going to be wanting to just use the characters you have that are 60ing and that are also generating you good damage in clan boss, also helping you clear dragon. Those are going to be the ones that are going to be a way better priority to have first because they're serving double duty. And then you can round out your arena team if you want to start to push and make your medals a little bit more efficient by getting higher up into gold. But there would be no point in doing this if you weren't getting good gear, because arena is very gear dependent. So that's why I have them prioritized where you're doing dungeons first and just using what you have versus the other way around. And then now you get to round out your arena team, make it a bit better, hopefully push up to gold and get more efficient medals that way. So now that we got arena specific, you boosted up your team. Hopefully you're doing well in arena. Next is going to be, we're going to look back on our characters and try to improve them based on our pulls. And this is very subjective, very account dependent, very pulls dependent. Hopefully by this time you've gotten significantly better pulls and gotten better characters. And now you're going to want to look at your roster and try to replace some of the characters you have that could be fulfilled better with other ones. For example, in my situation, when I was in clan boss, first poisoner was Kale. And then I pulled Aothar. So then I put Aothar in. Then I pulled a Cold Brawler. So I immediately removed Aothar and got a Cold Brawler. But I was doing other things in the meantime because you can't really determine specifically when you're going to get these pulls. And it potentially could be inefficient, even though one character is better than the other. Yeah, it's marginal. You're investing a lot of resources to make that other person 60 when you're getting not that big of a return. So I think this is a good time to really reevaluate and see if you can make some improvements just based on the character alone. The biggest improvements are going to come from gear, in my opinion. So hopefully you've been farming a lot of gear in this time. It takes, really like good legendaries, good to make a big impact based on the character. So I think for the health of an account from an efficiency standpoint, getting the gear is more important. And then that's why I have this a little lower on the list, because you're going to need time to pull characters. You're going to need time to farm gear. That's why I have it here on the list. That's where you'd want to start reevaluating your clan boss team, mainly your clan boss team. You don't really need to reevaluate your dragon team if you're able to accomplish it with 100% success rate. Really no need to fix that. Maybe just from a sanity perspective, you're probably going to want to improve the times on it, but efficiency you don't really need to. You're already accomplishing it. But for clan boss, the characters it's really important to have good characters to be able to start to push into nightmare, into ultra nightmare. You're going to really need to get some primo characters, and this would be the time to do that. So then lastly, I have this as faction war specific, which means we already have you're going to want to do this. I didn't really start building characters up specifically for Faction Wars until way later. First of all, because I just didn't think it was very fun. This was right when it came out, when it was just like too hard. You know, there's people out there that could do it, you know, sure, but they had like double Cernic, and it just wasn't fun. I think after a few nerfs, Faction Wars it's definitely in-game content. I was not expecting it to be such an in-game content thing, but it is. That's where they want to keep it. So I think after you have all your teams kind of rounded out, and all you're trying to do is just improve based on pulls, based on gear, trying to take those teams up to the next level, I think then this would be the time to slowly work on Faction Wars. I don't recommend going out of your way to get a whole bunch of 60s for Faction Wars. I think it's a better strategy to find characters that are really good and then investing. Like, just wait. If you only have a certain amount of characters for Faction Wars and they're just not that great, but they fill a 60 for that faction, just don't even bother, because Faction Wars is still pretty tough, and you're going to want to have, not only are you going to need to have good characters, so for Faction Wars, not only are you going to need to have good characters, but you're going to need to have characters that also excel in Faction Wars to make them worth ever 60ing for Faction Wars. If you ever want to go, in my opinion, the only time is worth it to 60 for a Faction Wars character is if your goal is to beat Faction 21, and that character will be used on said team for Faction 21. It should never be, you should never 60 a character like, oh, I'll use in Faction Wars. Like, you'll see a lot of advice where people just off the cuff go like, oh, they're good in Faction Wars. Like, most likely they're not. You need there's specific things to look for in a Faction Wars character, but you want to be very careful on which characters you take into Faction Wars or level up specifically for Faction Wars, because it's very tough content and you need to have good characters for it. That's my take on how to look at who I 60. That's the thought process when I look at people's accounts, is I run through a checklist similar to this in my head and see kind of where they're at, see where the smartest person to 60 is. At this point in the game, you're essentially just running through the improve existing roles based off polls. That's just going to be the name of the game, but that's going to be way later after you've gone through all this grinding to get to that point. All right, guys. Well, that should do it for me. Let me know in the comments below if you like this style of format, if you found it was easy to follow, if you found it useful. Even though I made this video talking about how to 60 a character, if you have questions, definitely hit me up on Discord. Definitely hit me up when I'm streaming on Twitch. More than happy to answer your questions there, especially on how to 60 a character. It's just, I figure since this is such a popular question, it's important to have the resources out there if you'd like to just be able to know for yourself. And I think that's just going to make you a better player, and it's good information to have. All right. If you like the video down there, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.